The applause starts while Colin still has one hand on my piano. Not literally. The Mason Hamlin is at home, 11 miles away, locked beneath its fitted cover. But on the screen behind him is a photograph of its walnut case glowing in our living room. And beneath the photograph are the words, "Signature auction donation." "My fiancé's piano," Colin says into the microphone, smiling toward me. Movers are already booked for Monday. His mother presses both hands to her chest. Around my table, chairs scrape back as people stand. My phone buzzes inside my purse. Walter Bell. I look at the photograph again. The lid is open. The brass key hangs from the lock on a blue string I have never used. I answer, already knowing what Walter will confirm. "Mara," he says, "a moving company just called me about your Mason Hamlin. Diane's guests are still applauding when I leave the ballroom. I push through a set of double doors into the coat room where damp wool and expensive perfume have settled into a single, thick smell." Walter waits until the doors swing shut behind me. "Are you moving it?" "No." "All right." His voice changes. Not louder exactly, more level. Walter uses that tone when he finds a problem he doesn't want the piano to hear. A dispatcher named Rob called the service number from my card. Their crew wanted the weight and disassembly points. Apparently, the booking says standard residential grand. It isn't a standard grand. I mention that. My reflection in the coat room mirror looks assembled from other people's parts. Diane's makeup artist's restrained lipstick, the pearl earrings Colin gave me last Christmas, a black dress I bought because Diane said the Guild's donors found bright colors distracting in photographs. Who booked them? Colin Mercer. Of course he did. I still ask, what did he tell them? That he owns it. He sent photographs. Through the doors comes another burst of applause, then Colin's voice, warm and effortless. "She's going to kill me for putting her on the spot." Laughter rolls across the ballroom. Walter says, "Mara?" I'm here. The photos show the lid open. My condition card was removed from the soundboard. That's why the mover called the number on the sticker instead. On the narrow bench beneath the mirror, a woman's white fur stole lies curled like something sleeping. I sit beside it. 3 nights ago, I had found the piano key turned teeth up in the lock. I always left it teeth down. That detail had bothered me enough that I'd asked Colin whether Diane had been in the house. He'd kissed my forehead without looking up from his phone. "You think my mother broke in to play scales?" At the time, I had laughed. Now I close my hand around the little brass key in my purse. I brought it with me because I had started carrying it after that conversation, though I hadn't admitted to myself why. "Can they move it without me?" I ask. They can move a piano for whoever opens the door. Whether they should is another question. "What do you need?" "Proof of ownership, purchase receipt, insurance schedule, restoration invoices, anything with the serial number." "I have all of it." "I know you do. Walter has been tuning my piano for 12 years. He knows I keep every service record in a gray archival box because he is the person who told me to. He also knows I don't let drinks sit on the closed lid, don't put flowers near the soundboard, and once waited 6 months to replace a cracked bathroom sink because the piano needed new hammers first. To anyone else, these facts might make me sound difficult. To Walter, they are simply maintenance. "I'll call the mover back," he says. "You contact them directly. Don't leave this as a conversation between 2 men discussing your property." A laugh slips out of me, small and wrong for the room. Wasn't planning to. I didn't think so. After we hang up, I email the moving company from my phone. My fingers shake badly enough that I mistype the serial number twice. I attach the insurance schedule, then log into the cloud folder where I keep the original bill of sale and the restoration invoices. 12 years of felt, glue, maple, wire, and patient expense reduced to 6 PDFs. When I hit send, the ballroom doors open. A man in a burgundy dinner jacket pauses when he sees me. There she is, the generous woman. "I'm not," I say. He laughs as if I've made a joke and holds the door for me. The room has been transformed since cocktails. Candles burn inside frosted cylinders. Gold place cards mark tables named for composers. The Bellwether Arts Guild has rented the hotel's smaller ballroom and filled it with people who like the phrase preservation initiative. On stage, a silent slideshow moves through renderings of the Guild's proposed renovation. Rehearsal rooms, gallery walls, an accessible entrance, a roof that does not leak into buckets. 3 of those renderings are mine. Diane spots me before Colin does. She is still on stage, silver hair swept into a twist, one hand resting possessively on the podium. She gives me a tiny beckoning motion. Come accept your gratitude. I stay beside the doors. Colin descends the stage and reaches me with the alert expression of a man approaching a glass. He is knocked from a table but might still catch. You disappeared, Walter called. His step falters. Only once. Walter. My tuner. I know who Walter is. Apparently, he knows who owns my piano. Colin glances toward the nearest tables. His smile remains in place, but its purpose changes. It is no longer for me. Can we do this somewhere else? You just did it in front of 140 people. 112. I stare at him. That wasn't the point, he says quickly. What was the point? His hand settles at my elbow, not quite steering me. Colin works in corporate hospitality. He can guide a furious executive out of a crowded lobby without making the executive realize he's been moved. Usually, I admire that about him. Tonight, I remove his hand. Diane has left the stage. She approaches with Celeste Avery, the Guild's board chair, at her side. Celeste is narrow, elegant, and perpetually braced for a room to become more expensive. Mara, she says. That was extraordinary. It was a surprise to me, too. Diane's gaze drops briefly to my purse. Colin wanted to do something meaningful. He did. My phone rings again, a local number. I answer without excusing myself. This is Mara Ellison. The man on the other end identifies himself as Rob Delaney from Presto Residential Moving. He has received my email and spoken with Walter. We've put a hold on the work order, he says. Just to be clear, you are stating Mr. Mercer does not own or have authority over the instrument? That's correct. Colin's face goes still. Rob asks me to confirm the address, make, approximate dimensions, and serial number. I do. He apologizes twice, then says the crew will not come Monday and the booking deposit will be returned to the original payment method after their administrative fee. What payment method was used? I'm not authorized to disclose the full number, but it ends in 0416. Our wedding debit card. I know it before I check. The card is in Colin's wallet because he has been handling vendor balances, but the account holds both our money. Thank you, I say. Please send the cancellation in writing. I end the call. Celeste studies Colin with new attention. Diane reaches for my forearm. What did you just cancel? The movers. Her fingers stop an inch from my sleeve. Why? Because I'm not donating my piano. Behind her, the auction display continues rotating. A weekend in Napa, courtside basketball tickets, my piano, assigned first edition, my piano again, shown from the keyboard this time. Diane gives a quick, almost girlish laugh. Oh, Mara, of course you're not donating it tonight. The winning patron will arrange delivery after payment. I'm not donating it at all. Celeste says, perhaps we should remove the slide. Yes, I tell her. You should. Diane doesn't look at Celeste. The program has already been printed. Then the program is wrong. Mara. Colin keeps his voice soft. We knew you'd be emotional at first. Something inside me becomes very quiet. We? He rubs a thumb along his lower lip. It is one of his tells, though he believes he has none. That came out wrong. Did you tell your mother I agreed? I told her I would handle it. That isn't what she asked. Diane lifts her chin. Her earrings are old emerald drops that Colin says she wears only when she needs to win. I assumed my son had discussed a major charitable gift with the woman he's marrying. You thanked him for it. I thanked him for bringing generosity into our family. Celeste takes one backward step. She has chaired enough boards to recognize an explosion and enough galas to refuse to stand inside one. I'll have the image removed, she says. Diane turns on her. We are 4 minutes from opening the auction. Then I'll be quick. She walks toward the technician's table, heels making no sound on the carpet. Diane watches her go. For a moment, hurt breaks through her composure. The Guild is not a hobby to her. She has spent 9 years making it the place where people return her calls. Its crumbling Georgian building appears on her holiday cards. Its donors fill her dining room. She talks about preserving music even though I have never heard her listen to an entire piece without speaking over it. The auction forecast depends on a signature item, she says. You should have found one you own. We had one. She looks at the screen as my piano dissolves into a photograph of the Napa vineyard. Apparently, we don't. Colin exhales. Mom, give us a minute. The word lands oddly. Us. As though he and I are still the fixed unit and Diane is the complication. She touches his cheek. You tried, darling. Then she passes me without a word. Colin waits until she's out of earshot. Could you have done that less publicly? I canceled a mover on the phone. You humiliated her. She was auctioning my piano. She was trying to keep the Guild alive by auctioning my piano. You keep saying that like I don't understand the noun. I don't think you understand the possessive. His eyes narrow, not with anger, but concentration. He is looking for the version of this conversation he can solve. Okay, I misjudged it. I thought once you saw what it meant tonight, you'd come around. You booked the movers before tonight because they needed lead time. You spent money from our wedding account. It was a deposit, Mara. It was coming back after the auction. From whom? The Guild. When? He looks away first. At the table nearest us, a server pours red wine with exquisite attention. Everyone nearby has developed an intense interest in plates, phones, and the placement of silverware. I lower my voice. How did you get the lid open? You leave the key in the desk. No, I don't. You used to. The brass key presses into my palm through the lining of my purse. Did you search my desk? I needed photos for the catalog. You searched my desk. Oh, come on. We live together. That doesn't make every locked thing yours. His expression changes then. The practiced remorse disappears, and I see something more honest beneath it. Fatigue. Do you hear yourself? He asks. Your desk, your house, your piano, your documents. I have lived there for 3 years, and I still feel like I need a visitor badge. The answer rises immediately. I bought the house. I paid for the piano. I never stopped you from making the place yours, but I don't say it. Not because it is untrue, because the weariness in his voice is real, and real things are harder to dismiss even when they have been used as weapons. A volunteer passes with a basket of folded auction paddles. Colin takes one, turns it over, then puts it back. I wanted to make one decision that mattered, he says. With my piano? It sits there. I play it. You play the same 3 pieces after everyone goes to bed. I feel that more sharply than I should. Colin has never complained about my playing. Sometimes he stands in the hallway listening. Once, early in our relationship, he told me the house sounded inhabited when I played. Now I wonder whether he meant haunted. He sees the wound land and reaches for me. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? That it could do more than it's doing. A microphone squeals on stage. Celeste welcomes everyone to the auction and announces, with brittle cheer, that there has been a last-minute correction to the catalog. Lot 14 is withdrawn. A murmur moves through the room. Colin shuts his eyes. For 1 second, I almost touch him. Habit is fast. It outruns judgment. My hand even lifts before I tuck it around the strap of my purse. Let's go home, he says. I'm staying. Why? Because I designed half the project you're raising money for, and Celeste asked me to answer donor questions after the auction. His mouth tightens. He'd forgotten that. Or maybe he had remembered and assumed that my work, like my piano, would remain available after I withdrew my consent. "All right," he says. "We'll talk at home." He walks back to our table and takes his seat beside his mother. I remain by the doors until a hotel employee quietly removes the display card bearing my name. She folds the card once to fit it beneath her clipboard. As she passes, the glossy corner catches the light, and I see the sentence Colin approved for the catalog, from the private collection of Colin Mercer and Mara Ellison. His name comes first. At 11:40, I let myself into the house alone. The rooms are dark except for the lamp beside the piano. Colin must have switched it on before we left, creating the warm pool of light used in the auction photograph. The fitted cover is folded over the bench. The lid stands open. Walter's condition card is gone. On the hardwood beside each brass caster, someone has drawn a short, white measuring line. I take the key from my purse and fit it into the lock. Before I can turn it, I notice a pale rectangle on the music desk, a moving estimate. At the bottom, beneath the charge for stairs and specialized handling, Colin has initialed a line authorizing the crew to dispose of any contents found inside the bench. I open it. My scores have been stacked on the floor. In their place are 2 rolls of bubble wrap, packing tape, and a box of black trash bags. From upstairs comes the soft creak of someone shifting weight. Colin is home. I close the bench carefully, leaving the packing supplies inside, and turn the brass key until the lock gives a small, clean click. The floorboard above me creaks again, followed by the quiet rush of plumbing through the wall. Colin is not hiding. He is getting ready for bed. That makes me angrier than if he were waiting on the stairs with an argument prepared. I carry my scores back to the piano one armful at a time. Bach, Debussy, a badly worn collection of Gershwin arrangements, the loose pages of a Ravel piece I have been pretending I'll tape together for 2 years. Colin stacked them neatly before putting them on the floor. That detail feels like him, careful with the things he has decided not to respect. The bubble wrap and tape go on the dining table. I leave the trash bags in the bench. I want him to see them when we talk. I want him to explain why my music needed to be cleared out before he gave away the instrument that held it. He comes downstairs in sweatpants and an old hotel conference t-shirt. "I didn't hear you come in." "I know." He stops at the foot of the stairs. "You opened the bench." "Yes." "The bags were for the packing materials. You authorized the movers to dispose of the contents. It's standard language. Then why were my scores on the floor?" "I was going to put them in your office." "When?" "Tomorrow." "Before or after the movers arrived?" He rubs both hands over his face. Without his tuxedo, Colin looks younger and far less certain. His hair is flattened on one side from changing clothes. A faint red line circles his neck where the shirt collar pressed. "I canceled them," he says. "Walter and I canceled them. I called again after we got home. I told them the move was off." "You got home before me?" Mom was upset. I took her back to her place. Of course he did. Diane lives 8 minutes away in a brick townhouse, whose garage is so full of guild banners that she parks on the street. Colin complains about her refusing to clear it, then carries in whatever she buys to organize it. How upset. He looks toward the piano. She thinks Celeste made her look incompetent. Celeste removed an item Diane didn't have. You asked how upset she was. I'm telling you. No, you're telling me who she blames. His shoulders drop. Can we stop doing this like opposing counsel? We're not married, Colin. You can stop calling me opposing counsel whenever I point out a fact. That wasn't, he catches himself. Okay, fair. The apology is so automatic that it almost works. He pulls out a dining chair and sits. The bubble wrap rolls shift beside his elbow. He turns one of them slowly under his palm. I thought you'd be angry, he says. I didn't think you'd refuse. Those are the same thing to you, aren't they? No. You planned for my reaction. You just didn't plan for it to matter. He pushes the bubble wrap away. I was trying to help my mother. with something that belonged to me. I know that. Do you? Yes, Mara. His voice rises, then lowers immediately. Yes, it is your piano. You bought it, you restored it, you have the paperwork in 6 different places. One place? Fine. He gets up and crosses to the instrument. His hand hovers over the walnut rim, but he does not touch it. When I moved in, he says, you gave me 1 shelf in your office and half a closet. You still had your apartment. You said you wanted to take it slowly. And 3 years later, I still don't know where you keep the extra batteries. Second drawer in the laundry room. I'm not asking where they are. Then what are you asking? He turns. Where am I in this house? There are answers all around us. His running shoes beneath the console, his grandmother's copper lamp on the bookcase, the armchair we drove 2 hours to pick up because he said every living room needed one ugly, comfortable thing. The spice rack he installed crooked and forbade me to straighten, his coffee mug drying beside the sink. I point at the bubble wrap instead. You don't get to answer that question by removing me. His face folds for a moment, not dramatically. The muscles around his mouth loosen as though he has run out of strength to hold them. I screwed up, he says, badly. Yes. I'm sorry. I wait. I should have asked you. I should never have promised it to Mom. I should never have gone into your desk. He pauses after each sentence, making sure nothing is qualified. I'll correct the catalog. I'll pay back the mover's fee. I'll call Celeste in the morning. And the wedding account? I'll replace every dollar. With what? My commission check clears Friday. I glance toward the piano bench. And you'll put the scores back. I'll do it now. No, I already did. That hurts him. I see it, and part of me is glad. He takes the bubble wrap and trash bags to the garage. Then he finds a soft cloth under the kitchen sink and kneels beside the piano to wipe away the mover's chalk marks. He is careful. He works along the grain because he has watched me clean the floor often enough to know how. One white line refuses to disappear. He scrubs until I tell him he is taking off the finish. We stand over the faint mark together. I really am sorry, he says. I believe that he is sorry. The harder question is what exactly he is sorry to lose. He sleeps in the guest room. I lie awake in our bed with the brass key on the nightstand. At 2 a.m, the air conditioning clicks on and the loose hinge on the bedroom vent begins its familiar ticking. Colin has promised to fix it every Sunday for 6 months. I usually remind him. When Sunday comes, I decide I won't. By 8, he has made coffee and scrambled eggs. The food is plated, not left in a pan. He has also removed the auction photograph from the Guild website and placed a printed email from Celeste beside my fork. The message confirms that Lot 14 has been withdrawn due to an error in donor authorization. It thanks Colin for his prompt correction and says the printed materials cannot be recovered, but all digital listings will be amended. You called her? I ask. At 6:30. She answered? She was awake. Celeste is always awake when something is on fire. He almost smiles. She said pretty much the same thing. I read the email twice. It is precise, unembarrassed, and useful. A small knot inside me loosens. Colin watches my face. I told her it was my mistake. Not an insurance issue? My mistake. That matters too. I wish it didn't matter enough to make me want to forgive him. He sits across from me. Mom may call. Will she apologize? I said she should. That wasn't my question. His thumb finds his lower lip, then drops. Probably not today. Diane waits until 10:17. I hope you're proud of yourself, she says when I answer. I look across my office at the 3 Guild renderings pinned to the wall. In one, late afternoon sun falls across the renovated rehearsal room. I spent 14 unpaid hours making that light look possible. Good morning, Diane. Celeste has convened a special board call. She used the phrase, donor authorization, 6 times. It's an important phrase. I did not know Colin had failed to secure your agreement. You didn't ask me. My son told me he was handling it. He was. She goes silent. Diane's silences are rarely empty. She is choosing which truth will cost her least. I never intended to take something from you, she says. What did you intend? To give the Guild a future. That building has served this community for 83 years. My piano has been in that building 0 years, and it was going to raise enough to repair the west roof. Did Colin tell you that? The preliminary interest was substantial. There is a rustle of paper at her end. She has numbers in front of her. Diane never enters an emotional argument without a spreadsheet nearby. You don't even know what it would have sold for, I say. We had an estimate. From whom? Colin obtained one. I turn toward the living room. He's on the sofa, laptop balanced on his knees, speaking quietly to someone from work. He feels me looking and lifts one finger. A minute. What estimate? I ask. A fair market range. It was part of the auction file. Send it to me. That file belongs to the Guild. My piano is described in it. The piano is no longer under consideration. Then there's no reason not to send it. Another silence. This one has edges. I think, Diane says, we should all allow the temperature to come down. You called to tell me you hoped I was proud of myself. I called because we are family, or nearly so, and family should be able to speak honestly. All right. Honestly, you stood on a stage and thanked Colin for giving you something you knew was mine. I believed marriage meant you were building a shared life. We haven't gotten married yet, and perhaps that is the real issue. She says it gently. Diane's cruelest remarks arrive wrapped for storage. I hang up. Colin ends his work call when he sees my face. What did she say? She had an estimate. He closes his laptop too fast. Colin. It was informal. Who valued the piano? An auction consultant Mom knows. Did they come into the house? No, I sent pictures and Walter's old condition notes. The card you took out of the piano. He sets the laptop aside. Yes. Show me. Mara, it's just a range. Show me. He opens his email and searches. The consultant's letter is 3 paragraphs long. It identifies the piano by make, year, and serial number, notes the restoration work, and gives a range high enough to explain Diane's desperation. Below it is a draft donation intake form. Donor, Colin Mercer and Mara Ellison. The signature lines are blank. Why are both our names there? The consultant assumed, based on what you told him. I said it was in our home. You said it was from our collection. He leans back. I corrected it. After Walter called. Yes, after Walter called. I can't undo the order things happened in. I scroll lower. An email from Diane is attached beneath the draft. Need her signature before Monday. Tell her it is for the insurance rider if she gets fussy about the paperwork. I read it again. Colin reaches for the laptop. I hold it away. Did you plan to lie to me about what I was signing? No. She told you to, and I didn't. Because I wouldn't be fussy. Because it was wrong. But the rest wasn't? He stands and walks to the kitchen. Water runs. A cabinet closes. When he returns, he has filled my glass, an ordinary peace offering he has made so many times I have never noticed it as one. I kept thinking I could get everyone to the other side of it, he says. Mom would get her auction. You'd be furious, then you'd see what the money did. We'd replace the piano eventually. With what? Another piano. I looked for that one for 8 months. I know. No, you know the sentence. You don't know the 8 months. He sits again. You're right. I hate how badly I want him to say something else. Something clever enough to make the facts rearrange themselves. Instead, he slides the laptop back to me. Go through everything, he says. There's nothing else. I do. There are messages about the mover, the consultant, the catalog, and the photographs. Diane pushes. Colin reassures. He tells her I am sentimental but practical. He says once the bidding starts, I won't make a scene. He jokes that marriage is mostly learning when to ask forgiveness. Then I find the receipt for the rush auction fee. It is not part of the mover's deposit. It is $1,200 paid directly to the Guild's event contractor, non-refundable, charged to our wedding account 6 days ago. I open the banking app on my phone. The balance is lower than it should be by more than $1,200. 3 additional charges carry the Guild's name. What are these? Colin looks at the screen and says nothing. Flowers, printing, audio equipment, he says finally. Why did our wedding account pay for Diane's fundraiser? The Guild card hit its limit. Mom needed coverage for 48 hours. Did she repay it? She will. When? After the auction proceeds settle. I think about the wine, the candles, the gold place cards, and the screen displaying my piano as though generosity had materialized fully insured and professionally lit. How much? Total? Yes, Colin, total. $4,800. The wedding balance on my phone tells me it is $53. He begins explaining the difference. Administrative fees, the mover, a catalog reprint that never happened. I stop listening. On the entry table lies the thick cream envelope containing our final catering contract. The next payment is due Tuesday. I have been reminding Colin for 2 weeks to confirm the guest count with Diane. I pick up the envelope and carry it into my office. "What are you doing?" he asks. "Making sure there's still money for the wedding you keep using to pay for your mother." Mara. I close the door, lock it, and remove our shared calendar from the wall beside my desk. 3 Guild appointments are written in Colin's hand across my Saturday. I cross out everyone. The door handle turns once. Mara. I need an hour. We should do this together. We did it together. That's how your mother's flowers ended up in our wedding account. He rests his forehead against the other side of the door. I know because his voice comes through the wood, close and flattened. I'm going to fix it. You keep saying that after you've already decided what I can afford to lose. He stays there long enough that I can hear him breathing. Then his footsteps move away. I transfer my half of the wedding balance into my personal account. I leave his original contributions and exactly half of what remains after the Guild charges. It isn't a perfect accounting. It is 11 on a Sunday morning. I'm angry, and I want the money somewhere he cannot turn it into centerpieces. Then I open the catering contract. Diane has added a raw bar, upgraded linens, and a champagne wall to the reception. Each change carries my electronic initials. I remember approving the linens, or thinking I did. Colin had handed me his tablet while I was cooking and said the venue needed acknowledgement of some decor adjustments. I call the coordinator and cancel everything beyond the package Colin and I selected together. The champagne wall has a cancellation fee. I pay it from my account because I want the decision to be mine. The coordinator sounds relieved. "Just so I'm clear going forward," she says, "only you and Colin can approve changes." "Only me for now." She pauses. I'll note that. It is strange how much of my life has been held together by women quietly noting things. When I unlock the office door, Colin is waiting in the kitchen. He has put the bubble wrap in the recycling and washed the breakfast dishes. The vent upstairs ticks steadily. "I moved my portion of the wedding money," I say. His eyes close. "You emptied the account?" "No, I separated it." "That's our wedding." It was also Diane's bridge loan. She's wiring it back tomorrow. When it arrives, you can decide what to do with your half. He looks past me at the crossed-out calendar. "You canceled Saturday?" "I canceled 3 unpaid errands. The donor walkthrough is not an errand. You're presenting the renovation. I'm not presenting anything until the Guild confirms what work it owns, what work it expects me to donate, and who is authorized to speak for me. Mom will take that as retaliation. I'm done arranging my decisions around how your mother will take them." He gives a short, humorless laugh. There she is. Who? The person who can turn off a whole life from a control panel. The line is good enough that I feel it. Colin knows where language enters me. It is part of why I fell in love with him. "I didn't turn it off," I say. "I stopped paying for it." He sleeps in the guest room again. By Monday afternoon, Diane has repaid $4,000 to the wedding account. She labels the transfer Guild reimbursement in full. It is not in full. When I point that out to Colin, he says the remaining $1,300 represents costs associated with the piano donation, which the Guild cannot reimburse because the piano was withdrawn. Associated by whom? I ask. He is tying his shoes in the entryway. I'm not defending it. You're delivering the sentence like a hotel bill. What do you want me to do, Mara? Take it out of Mom's purse? I want you to notice that she still thinks my saying no is an expense I caused. He knots the lace too hard and has to start over. I noticed. Did you tell her? Yes. What did she say? That she's looking forward to discussing it when everyone is calmer. I laugh. That means never. I know what it means. His answer surprises both of us. He leaves without kissing me. 10 minutes later, my phone alerts me that the front door has opened again. Colin comes inside, climbs the stairs, tightens the loose bedroom vent with a screwdriver, and leaves for work a second time. That evening, the bedroom is silent. I lie awake anyway. Celeste meets me at the Guild building on Wednesday. Rainwater has darkened the brick around the west windows, and a blue bucket sits beneath a ceiling stain in the lobby. The place smells like wet plaster and the lemon oil Diane orders by the case. 3 foam boards display my renderings on easels near the stairs. Someone has added a brass plaque beneath them. Ellison Mercer Renovation Vision. I remove the plaque before Celeste arrives. She sees it in my hand and sighs. Diane ordered 12. I'm not a Mercer. She said it reflected the forthcoming marriage. My professional name is not forthcoming. Celeste pinches the bridge of her nose. Would you like them discarded or corrected? Corrected. Done. She leads me into the rehearsal room where a folding table is covered with contractor estimates. Celeste is less polished in daylight. There are half moons beneath her eyes, and one heel of her shoe is scuffed white. I need to understand what you're withdrawing, she says. Unpaid revisions, donor presentations, and site coordination. You can keep the drawings delivered under the signed pro bono scope. Anything new requires a contract. That will delay us. Yes, Diane believes you committed to shepherding the project through permitting. I committed to developing a concept package. Celeste slides a folder toward me. My original letter is inside. The scope is 6 lines long and completely clear. I agree, she says. I look up. I chaired a hospital foundation before this, she says. I know the difference between donated work and an indenture. I should have intervened sooner. Why didn't you? Because Diane gets things done. She glances at the bucket in the lobby, and because, until Saturday, most of her methods were somebody else's private inconvenience. That is the first honest thing anyone connected to the Guild has said to me. Celeste agrees to present a paid continuation contract to the board. She also tells me the auction earned less than projected, but enough to begin roof stabilization. The Guild is not dying. Diane's campaign was. She promised the board a number, Celeste says. Your piano would have put her over it. Did she promise before or after? Colin offered it. Before. Outside, rain taps against the tall windows. One drop lands in the bucket with a hollow plink. I think of Diane telling Colin she needed a signature item. I think of Colin searching my desk. Was he on the board call? I ask. No. Diane asked him to join. I declined. Changing alliances rarely sound dramatic. Sometimes they sound like a tired woman saying, I declined. By Friday, Colin's commission check has replaced the mover's deposit and rush fee. Diane still owes the other Guild expenses. The wedding is 6 weeks away, and every conversation between us seems to happen beside an object requiring a decision. Invitation samples, menu cards, unopened boxes of candle holders. Colin starts seeing a couples counselor alone after I refuse to go with him. It isn't because I don't care, I tell him. I can't sit in a room and negotiate whether you knew I owned the piano. That's not what therapy is. What is it? Figuring out why I thought asking you would make me smaller. For once, He does not make the answer my responsibility. He also gives me the house key Diane has carried for 3 years. It is on a silver ring shaped like a treble clef. She handed it over, I ask. I took it off her hook. Does she know? She sent me 27 messages. I set the key beside the alarm pad. You can't steal back what you gave away. I didn't steal it, I told her. Before or after? During. Despite myself, I smile. Colin does too. For half a second, there we are, the two of us who can find the absurd detail inside any disaster. Then the alarm pad beeps. Someone has entered Diane's code at the side door. We both turn. It is a grocery delivery. Diane has sent a case of wine for our rehearsal dinner and given the driver her access code. Colin intercepts him in the mudroom and carries the box inside. She says it's a peace offering, he says, using a code she's no longer supposed to have. I'll change it. The locksmith comes Saturday morning. I change the doors and alarm code, then give Colin one new key. He looks down at it in his palm. Am I supposed to be grateful? No. It feels like a test. It isn't. A test has a right answer. His hand closes around the key. Jenna and Paul are coming for dinner. I thought we canceled. They're worried. About us? About both of us. Jenna brings soup, Paul brings bread, and within 20 minutes I understand that Colin has already shown them pieces of our argument. Not the guild charges or Diane's email. He shows them messages from 2 years earlier when we were choosing where to put the piano after repainting the living room. It belongs in our home, I wrote, not storage. Jenna places her phone face down. I'm not saying what Colin did was okay. Then don't build your next sentence on it. She winces. Paul studies his soup. Colin says, I didn't bring them here to gang up on you. You brought exhibits. I was trying to explain why I thought you saw it as ours. The house was ours too. That didn't mean you could donate the roof. Paul coughs into his napkin. Under other circumstances, I would appreciate him. Jenna reaches across the table. You're changing locks and separating money 6 weeks before your wedding. If the engagement is over, tell him. If it isn't, what does he have to do? I look at Colin. He wants an answer so badly that his face is almost blank. I don't know, I say. It is the truth, and it costs me more than certainty would. After they leave, Colin moves into a hotel near his office. He says he cannot keep sleeping in a room where every ordinary mistake feels like evidence. Walter comes Monday to inspect the piano. He replaces his condition card, checks the lid lock, and studies the stubborn white mark beside the rear caster. Floor's fine, he says. I'm not worried about the floor. No. He seats himself at the keyboard and plays a progression soft enough to make the hammers sound like breath. Protecting ownership is straightforward, he says. You have papers. People understand papers. And the rest? People understand the rest less. Do you think I'm overreacting? Walter considers the question with the same patience he gives a string that won't settle. I think you know how to keep an instrument in condition, he says. I don't know if you can keep a marriage there. We're not married. That may be one of the things in your favor. On Wednesday, an email arrives from a specialist piano mover asking me to confirm Friday's pickup window. Attached is a donation authorization bearing my signature. For several seconds, I assume it is the old draft. Then I see the date, yesterday, and the document it came from. My signature has been lifted from the final page of our catering contract. The authorization identifies Diane as the guild representative and Colin as the homeowner, granting access. I call him at the hotel. He answers on the first ring. Tell me you didn't know about Friday. Silence. I was going to stop it, he says. When? After Mom's board meeting tomorrow. She thinks showing a confirmed pickup will buy her time. You let her use my signature. I didn't know she copied it until this morning. And then? I told her she couldn't go through with it. But you didn't tell me. I was trying to contain it. There it is again. The belief that the truth becomes his if he holds it long enough. I stare at the brass key beside my computer. Don't cancel the movers, I say. Mara? Be at the house Friday at 10. Bring your mother. What are you doing? I turn the key once between my fingers. I'm making sure everyone understands who opens the door. Colin says my name twice before I end the call. I forward the authorization to the specialist mover with the purchase receipt, insurance schedule, and a copy of my driver's license. I tell them the signature is not authorized and that no one may enter the property or touch the instrument. Their manager calls within 12 minutes. We won't dispatch the crew, she says. The order came through the Bellwether Arts Guild, so our office will need written cancellation from the guild representative. You have written notice from the owner. Yes, ma'am. That stops the move. The cancellation fee is a separate issue between the booking party and the guild. Who is listed as the booking party? Diane Mercer. Mr. Mercer is the site contact. I ask her to preserve the order, the authorization, and all related messages. She agrees with the careful politeness of someone who has recently called her supervisor into the room. Then I call Celeste. She is quiet while I explain. When I send her the copied signature, she says, "Oh, not outrage, not disbelief, just the sound of one more piece fitting where she hoped it wouldn't." Diane told the board she had resolved the donation privately, she says. She resolved my signature. Does Colin know? Yes. Another quiet breath. What do you need from me? Come to my house Friday at 10. Mara, if you're planning a confrontation, I'm planning to give you the guild records on my property, my architectural work, and the auction expenses paid from my wedding account. What the board does with them is your decision. You're ending your relationship with the guild? I'm ending any arrangement that depends on Diane speaking for me. That may be the same thing. Then your governance problem is larger than my piano. Celeste takes so long to answer that I check the screen to make sure the call has not dropped. I'll be there, she says. Walter is my last call. I need a tuning Friday morning. You had one 6 weeks ago. I know. Is something wrong with it? No. He waits. I need you here before 10. All right, he says. He does not make me explain. Thursday passes in phone notifications. Colin calls 4 times. Diane calls 9. I listen to one message from each. Colin says, "Please don't do anything permanent while you're angry." Diane says, "You are creating consequences far beyond what this misunderstanding warrants." I save both messages. The catering coordinator cancels the reception and applies part of our deposit to the outstanding vendor fees. The florist keeps her retainer. The venue returns more than I expected and less than Colin will think is fair. I send him the itemized statements with a request that all further communication about wedding expenses be in writing. He replies with one sentence. "Are you canceling me or just the party?" I don't answer. I am not willing to end our engagement by email, even though he was willing to transfer my piano with a scanned signature. I spend the evening packing his belongings. There are fewer than I expect. Clothes from the bedroom closet, running gear, shaving supplies, 6 hospitality books he never finished, the framed photograph of his grandmother, the copper lamp, 3 bottles of hot sauce, and the ugly armchair. I leave the spice rack on the wall because removing it would require patching the tile, and I am tired of repairing the evidence of him. His house key goes into an envelope on top of the boxes. I find the ring dish on my nightstand and sit on the edge of the bed. The engagement ring is a narrow platinum band with an oval sapphire. Colin chose it because he remembered me saying diamonds looked like tiny spotlights. He proposed at home on a Wednesday after takeout while I was wearing paint-stained socks. It was the most private, certain moment of my life. I slide the ring off. The pale indentation beneath it looks fragile and temporary. At 9:15 Friday morning, Walter arrives carrying his black case and a paper cup of coffee. He notices the boxes in the entryway. His gaze pauses on the armchair, then moves on. "Where do you want me?" "Same place as always." "That's a good place for a piano." He removes the fitted cover and unlocks his case. Felt wedges, tuning hammer, mutes, tools lined in worn loops. The ordinary arrangement steadies me. I hand him the brass key. "Check everything." Walter opens the lid and compares the serial number to his records. He inspects the plate, soundboard, strings, legs, pedals, and casters. Then he replaces his condition card inside, this time writing the date across the top. Instrument remains in owner's residence, he reads aloud. No move performed, no damage observed. Put my full name. He does. At 9:58, Colin's car stops at the curb. Diane is in the passenger seat. Walter begins tuning middle A. The note fills the living room, pure at first, then trembling as he tests the strings against each other. Diane lets herself through the side gate, but cannot open the door. She enters her old alarm code twice before Colin guides her around to the front. I open it before he knocks. Diane is wearing a cream suit and her emerald earrings. Colin has not shaved. He looks at the boxes, the envelope, then at my bare left hand. "Mara," he says, "come in." Diane steps past him. "Why is the tuner here?" Walter strikes the A again. "He has a name," I say. She glances toward him. "Of course, Walter. Mrs. Mercer." I understood the movers were arriving. "They aren't." Her mouth tightens. "Then why did you insist we come?" "Because you thought they were." Colin remains in the entryway. His key is already on top of the boxes, but he reaches into his pocket anyway, as if checking whether some second key has appeared. "Mara, can we talk alone?" "No." The bell rings behind him. When Celeste enters, Diane's composure shifts so quickly it is almost graceful. "Celeste, good. Since you're here, perhaps we can resolve the confusion before the board receives an unnecessarily dramatic version." Celeste removes her raincoat and folds it over one arm. I receive the authorization, the corrected authorization, the one bearing Mara's signature. Diane looks at me, which she now claims she did not provide. I didn't claim it. I didn't provide it. It came from a document you signed, my catering contract. Colin closes the door. Walter continues working. A clear E rises beneath the conversation, falls, rises again. On the dining table, I have arranged the original auction intake form, Diane's email instructing Colin to call it an insurance rider, the consultant's valuation, the specialist mover's order, the copied authorization, the guild receipts, and the wedding account statement. Each page is marked with its source and date. Diane looks over them without sitting. "This presentation is grotesque," she says. "It's organized. You've invited the chair of my board into a private family dispute." Celeste places her raincoat over a chair. "You used the guild's name to schedule the move. Because the piano was being donated to the guild. It wasn't." Colin assured me Mara had agreed in principle. Colin looks up. "No, I didn't." Diane turns toward him. "You told me she would come around. I told you I thought she would. You said it belonged to both of you. I was wrong." The words hang there, simple and late. Diane's face changes more than it did when the auction lot was withdrawn. Colin has always been the person who turns her methods into good intentions. Without his translation, her sentences sound like what they are. She touches the edge of the copied authorization. "I believe the signature was administrative," she says. "You copied it," Colin says. "You sent me the catering file. For the guest count. You told me not to worry her with more paperwork. I told you that before the fundraiser. Afterward, I told you the piano was off. And then you allowed me to proceed with the specialist. I was trying to stop you from telling the board you'd lost the lead donation." Diane stares at him. "You were protecting yourself." Yes, it is the most honest word he has said all week. I look at him, and for one dangerous second, I can see the life we might have if honesty alone repaired what dishonesty built. He would continue counseling. I would learn to distinguish caution from control. We would repaint the guest room, replace the wedding deposit slowly, and someday tell this story as the disaster that taught us something. Then I remember him saying he would stop Friday's move after Diane's board meeting. Even his confession was scheduled for the moment it cost him least. Celeste pulls out a chair and sits. Diane, did you submit this authorization to the mover on behalf of the guild? I forwarded a document provided within the donor's household. That isn't what I asked. I had every reason to believe. Did you submit it? Diane's earrings move when she swallows. Yes. Celeste nods once. As of now, you are not authorized to contract, incur expenses, solicit donations, or communicate with vendors on behalf of the guild. I'll call an emergency board session this afternoon. You can't suspend the campaign chair by yourself. I can suspend your financial authority under the policy you wrote. Diane looks at me as though I have manufactured Celeste, the policy, and the chair beneath her. The guild will lose the renovation, she says. No, Celeste says. The guild will lose your version of it. Walter plays a low chord. The bass strings roll through the floorboards and into my feet. I slide a folder toward Celeste. These are the drawings covered by my original letter. The guild can use them for the concept presentation. Anything further requires a new contract with an architect of the board's choice. Understood. I'm not bidding for it. Celeste studies me, then closes the folder. Also understood. Diane gives a sharp laugh. So this is revenge. You'd let the building rot because your feelings were hurt. The roof stabilization is funded, Celeste says. We will reduce the project and proceed in phases. But the full campaign was built around money and services we didn't have. Diane turns to Colin. Say something. He is looking at the boxes. I'm sorry, Mom. For what? All of it. She waits for him to defend her. When he doesn't, she picks up her handbag. You will both discover that boundaries are very comforting right up until you need another person. She walks out without saying goodbye. Colin closes the door behind her. He stands with his back to it, eyes fixed on the bare place where my ring used to be. You canceled the reception. Yes, so that's it. I take the ring from my pocket and set it on the envelope holding his key. I kept waiting for you to protect something that mattered to me without first calculating what it would cost you. I tried. You booked the first movers, and I admitted that. You knew about the second movers. I was going to stop them. After your mother's meeting, he presses his palms together. I was trying to get out without blowing up her life. You were willing to let her keep believing she could open my door. I knew you'd stop it. There it is, the last piece. Not faith in me, reliance on me. He could remain the kind son because I would become the hard woman and do what needed doing. Walter called before anyone touched the piano, I say. Then I stopped it both times. His eyes fill and he looks away. I love you. I love you too. That is what makes the next sentence necessary instead of easy. You can't live here anymore. He nods once. He picks up the ring but leaves the key inside the envelope. Walter helps him carry the armchair to his car. They maneuver it through the front door with inches to spare, Colin guiding the heavier end backward. Watch the frame, I say automatically. He gives me a tired smile. I know. After they leave, one of the chair's feet has left a shallow dent in the rug. The room looks larger and less comfortable. Diane resigns from the campaign before the board can vote on her removal. Celeste takes over long enough to hire a part-time director, then returns to being merely impossible about budgets. The guild stabilizes the roof, postpones the gallery expansion, and uses my original renderings with my name printed correctly beneath them. Colin repays the remaining wedding expenses through a written monthly schedule. He moves into Diane's guest room, where the boxes from my house compete with rolls of guild banners. For the first time, every favor she needs lands entirely on him. Some months, he pays late. He always pays. The vent in my bedroom never ticks again. Near the end of winter, Walter comes for the next tuning. The faint white line beside the rear caster is still visible when the afternoon sun hits it. I no longer try to remove it. Walter finishes the final octave, closes his case, and holds out the brass key. I turn it between my fingers, feeling the worn teeth catch against my skin. See you in 6 months, he says. I'll be here." After I lock the door behind him, I uncover the keyboard and sit down. The house is quiet, but it no longer feels as though it is waiting for someone to decide what belongs in it. I place the brass key beside the music, rest my hands on the keys, and begin.